So welcome to this morning's webinar. We're going to look at Dragon Medical and some of the really important features that can be used to improve clinical dictation. I want to thank the Academy of Medicine of Cincinnati for sponsoring this, and for those of you who support the Academy, and for all of you who are in attendance, thanks for rising early. We'll be quick this morning, a lot of content in a short space of half an hour. So thanks for your attendance, and I want to thank also many of you who are long-term PBSI clients attending. Some of you who are listening already use Dragon Medical, and you know how good this product is, and you want to learn more. Some of you, this may be your first exposure to Dragon Medical, and I want to say that in 30 years experience in the tech business as CEO of a technology company, Dragon Medical is my single favorite tech product. If you're not familiar with this product, you're in for a treat. So thanks for joining. Our agenda this morning is really short. We want to help everybody understand some of the key features of Dragon Medical. We're going to be demonstrating almost from the very get-go Dragon and some of the key features, and we'll look at the newest version. It's an alternative, not a replacement version, Dragon Medical 1. It's a cloud-based product. So we'll look at both of those, and we'll look at what are the costs and what's involved in implementing Dragon Medical. So for those of you not familiar, Dragon Medical is used by hundreds of thousands of providers nationwide and all over the world. They are by far and away the premium, in fact, most would say only game in town product for clinical dictation and voice recognition. Most all of the hospitals use Dragon, and we have hundreds of clients as PBSI who use Dragon Medical, regardless of whether you use an EHR or don't use an EHR. If you have a provider who is typing or writing notes to any degree, you really should be looking at. So PBSI's role, we are the authorized reseller in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana for Dragon Medical, and we help hundreds of clients who, some of them only use us for installing and training and supporting Dragon Medical. So our job is to help folks use the software successfully and integrate it into workflow in whatever EHR you're using or no EHR. We have lots and lots of clients that we've helped integrate a transcription and dictation process into Microsoft Word or similar products. So there are many ways you can use Dragon. So I'm going to demonstrate Dragon Medical, and sort of a starting point, you'll see on my screen the picture of two microphones on the right-hand side. So the newest microphone is a PowerMic 3. So for those of you who have a PowerMic 2 pictured on the very right-hand side, exactly same functionality. If you have a PowerMic 2, there's no reason to upgrade. PowerMic 3 is the same. It's simply a little lighter and a little thinner. So this is the preeminent microphone that 90-something percent of all providers using Dragon Medical use this microphone, and I'm going to be using this and demonstrating. So the key features are, when I wish to start Dragon listening, I'll press the on button. Dragon will start listening to me. And then there are really just a couple of buttons. I'll have a next field and a previous field button that I'll use, and you'll see how that's used. But it's very convenient, and the microphone works really well. You can also use pretty much any microphone you already have, including your iPhone or your Android, Bluetooth microphones, headset microphones. They all work just fine. The reason most people use the PowerMic is the convenience of holding it in one's hand while you can do something with your other hand. So that's the microphone I'll be using. So the demonstration, I'm going to start with just a short overview of some of the key features. And this is the feature list that I really want to review. These are the things that if you know these features in use of Dragon Medical, you are in command of a product that will save time. So I'm going to be demonstrating into Microsoft Word. And on my screen, you see Microsoft Word. On the very, very lower right-hand corner of my screen, this little red icon, that's a picture of a microphone turned on its side. That's Dragon not listening to me. When I press the on button on my PowerMic, that little button will turn green, and that's how I know Dragon's listening to me. So I'm going to do that now. Patient is a 57-year-old female presenting today for evaluation for hysterectomy, period. New paragraph. Patient's BP is 210/180, and I'm really concerned about medication dosage, especially Hyzar oral in combination with Xanax, period. New paragraph. Okay, so first thing you see about Dragon, I turned my microphone off, is that it recognizes text extremely well. So I'm registered with Dragon as general medicine. Dragon is specifically tuned to specialties. So the first thing a provider does is answer a very short handful of questions, one of which is, what's my specialty? And that will bias Dragon toward terms within a specialty, but all clinical terms are stored in Dragon. So here you can see a medication where Dragon knows how to spell it perfectly. Microsoft Word didn't. So I can update Word's dictionary, but Dragon already knew. So first thing you see is it gets text perfectly well. Well, anybody who uses Dragon has seen this work, and you know that it gets clinical punctuation, and immediately it separates itself radically from other versions of Dragon, Dragon Professional or Personal or the free versions, because it's so tuned to clinical dictation. So now I'm going to go back and forth between my PowerPoint slide just so you can have some organization about what are the features I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about templates and the select command associated with that. So templates are simply sets of text or text and graphics that are stored with a name. So the name of a template can be anything. I'm going to use the name of a template now, and you'll see how this works. Normal hypertension. Select his goal, her goal, and do that. Her goal. So there you see the use of the select command and a template. So I had stored this set of text with the name normal hypertension. So this is possibly not a great example because I have some specifics in here that might not be typical, but you can see one thing you can do is store a set of words with a template. So then I use the select command to change something. Learning how to change Dragon's output with your voice is very, very important, and maybe the first separator between those who love Dragon and those who say, gee, I've tried this and it's hard to change text. Well, it's not at all. You need to understand the select command. So I'm going to remove this from the screen. I'll use some other examples, and I'll do more with the select command. But I want to give an example of a template that has more than just text. So I'm going to use a template that's a little more complex in that it has some graphics and some formatting. So I'm going to do that. I'll just remove what's on my screen so far, and I'll use a template called my referral letter. Okay, so I stopped here, and you can see the cursor is stopped in a position that I'm going to call a field. A field is simply a set of brackets, left and right brackets. So you can put fields in Dragon. It's where you want it to stop. So I'm going to continue on, and I'll use a template within a template, and you'll see how this works. I'm going to turn my microphone on, and I'll be using a button to move from field to field with symptoms of acute asthma, period. Normal exam. Select lungs clear to auscultation bilaterally. Lungs, colon, produced unusual symptoms. We need to schedule additional testing, period. Help the patient breathe more cleanly. We're going to do further testing. We'll assess medication after additional tests. Okay, so I was moving from field to field. Now, one thing, which is typically what happens with Dragon, if I speak clearly, it's going to get my voice pretty much perfectly every time, but I did some stumbling, which is not unusual. Many of us do that. So where was it? It was here. I said something that I forget exactly what I said, but now I'm going to use the select command. And so here are two keys with the select command. I want to change this text. And so the first thing I want to do is make sure I know which text I want to change before I use the select command. And then the second thing is I'm going to select a phrase, not a word. So the more words I use, the more Dragon will help me. So I'm not going to select the word tingling. I'm going to do this. Select more clear tingling, more clearly. Okay, so that's the way the select command works, just the word select followed by whatever words I want to change. And if I use it improperly, I would say something like select, and then I'd be looking around on the screen, and then I'd say whatever text and there's too long of a pause between my use of that word, and it's going to, quote, mess up. So anytime I want to change something, the select command allows me to do it. So I can say, select scheduled additional testing. Chose not to schedule additional tests. And so that's the way it works. I simply use my voice to select text and change it. It works beautifully. So in this case, I had a template called my referral letter, which included a John Hancock, and I'm not an MD, but this is just an example of how you can use Dragon. And then I called in another template within a template. So I'm just going to go through some examples here and demonstrate in this manner. So we looked at templates, the select command, next field. That's what I did with my microphone. I can have a template with next field defaults as well. So it can say normal, 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 so I don't have to repeat, but it will stop at default fields and allow me to confirm that's okay with me. So I'm going to demonstrate two quick things now, which are very, very important. So again, this is a separator. If you're using Dragon Medical and you're using it just to turn your voice into text, it'll do that job really well. But if you learn these two things, make that a shortcut, and what can I say, you'll radically increase your productivity. So all of us who dictate have some routine things we say more than once. And when you've dictated or you've typed the same set of stuff, yet for the 4th time this week and for the 10th time this month, you realize there's a more efficient way to do this. So I'm going to just speak some text, and I'm going to turn that into a template. So patient presents today for period. New paragraph. My exam today included colon, new paragraph, normal exam. Okay, so I just spoke some text and I used the template, and I'm going to, this is something that I'm going to say, to me, this is routine. I do this all the time, and I might want to include, I'm simply taking some text that I'm going to use more than once, and I'm going to say, okay, if I had this in a template, this would really help me. So I'm going to select that text, and I'm going to turn that into a new template. So this is the command I'm going to use. I'm going to use make the shortcut. Shortcut and a template, they're synonyms for the same thing. So I'm going to turn my microphone on, and you'll see how this works. Make that a shortcut. So what Dragon has done is taken everything that I selected and put it into the body of this, and it's now asking me, what's the name of this shortcut going to be? And I'm going to give it a name with my voice. I'll do that now. My short exam. Click Save. So the things I did, I selected text. I said, make that a shortcut. I said, my short exam, gave it a name, and I used another command, click. So the click command is another thing I can use to cause cursor control. So when I said click save, it looked for a button on the screen that looked like it might be a save button, and it used it. So I have just created a brand new shortcut called my short exam. So let me show you how that works. Now I'm going to use that. Today the patient was here and experienced my short exam, period. New paragraph. My short exam. Okay, what's the difference between what I just did? My short exam are simply words. When spoken in the context of a sentence, Dragon knows those are just words. Every time I start speaking, it pauses for a moment. You might notice a short pause before it starts doing something. It's evaluating. So is the speaker giving me a command like click or go to bottom, or is the speaker, or select, or is the speaker just speaking text? So it decides that my short exam in that case was just a part of the text. And then with a pause, I said my short exam, and it knew that this was a template. So then I could fill that in, and the cursor would stop, and I could fill those blanks in. So what I've just done is created a brand new template on the fly. So whenever you've spoken or typed something and you look on the screen, you say, yep, this would be a good one to save, you can select that text and say, make that a shortcut, give it a name, and you're off. Okay, the problem with that is, oh my gosh, I have so many templates out there, that's great, but I can't remember what they are. So in addition to make that a shortcut, we want to learn, what can I say? Really simple. And if you think, by the way, that there are hundreds of things you need to learn with Dragon, really not. 10 commands. You know 10 commands in Dragon. You know how to navigate, go to bottom. You know how to make that a shortcut, and what can I say? You will have Dragon mastered. It's not, there aren't dozens of things you need to learn. So what can I say? I'm going to demonstrate that now. What can I say? So what Dragon does is it gives me on the screen the name of all the templates. And these are all my templates in alphabetic order. So my short exam would be in there, as well as, oh yeah, I forgot, I have this set of things. So I can say, okay, that's the one I wanted. I wanted normal nerve block. Normal nerve block. And so forth. So what can I say? Irrigation procedure. And so forth. So here's a case where it's going to give me some choices. And so this is just another example of a template, and I won't go through that, but I just wanted you to see that storing and remembering templates, very, very straightforward. Okay, some other key things. Internet search. This is kind of interesting. So when a patient asks a question during an encounter, many providers, I think, say, you know, do we really need to get into that now? But you can if you wish to. So whether it's your own research or with the patient, you can do internet searches now using Dragon. I'm going to give you an example. Search up to date for insomnia. So what did Dragon just do? I used the search command. I might have been in the middle of my EHR, in the middle of Microsoft Outlook, whatever I'm doing. I can say search website name for condition, and it goes there and gives me my choices, and then I can click with my mouse or I can click with my voice. So I'll do another example. Search WebMD for encephalitis. Click drug results for encephalitis. And so forth. So the search command used by Dragon can help simplify research. So if you use Dragon Medical, didn't know about that feature, try it today. If you have a current version of Dragon, you'll be able to do that. So hidden mode, this is another key thing that allows those of you who use an EHR in particular, you can move around while accumulating text. So what Dragon does is wherever my cursor is blinking, it's going to produce text at that cursor. So for some of us, we want to look around in an EHR and look at different locations and have it accumulate text. So there's a button I can press that turns on hidden mode. And now instead of producing text at the cursor, Dragon will accumulate text in this box. So I can say things like, patient presents today for encephalitis exam period, new paragraph. Then I can go look around in the chart, do some other clicking someplace else, and come back here. Patient's lab results over the past few weeks have shown marked improvement, period. And so forth. I can continue to dictate and then come back to where I want to place this text and simply say transfer text or press a button, and that text will be transferred. So hidden mode is a really useful feature to accumulate text and put it down all at once. So these are things that are just helpful, and those of you who are using Dragon Medical now and not familiar with these, just be aware. Okay, another thing that's really improved, and I'm almost finished with demonstrating in a recent version of Dragon, is getting rid of voice imperfections. So I'm going to what I'm going to call butcher some dictation now, and so here I go. Patient is here today for an exam for lower back pain, and the patient is describing pain that is 2 out of 10, period. Okay, so dragging your voice, things that used to be confusing to Dragon. Even sometimes if I stutter things, say something more than once, it will, not always, but it will frequently realize, okay, that was what was going on there, and it eliminates the repeat or the stutter. So just an example. You can also store repetitive formatting, like if you want your SOAP note, subjective object assessment plan, to be bolded and underlined, you can store those in a profile. So another thing that's really useful, network voice profiles. So many of us, we dictate in more than one place. We have our office PC, we have a laptop that we use in the nurse's area, we have a laptop at home or one we carry among offices, or we have a unit in each exam room. And we don't want to have our voice profile, which is what Dragon knows as Ray. I have a voice profile, and it knows the templates that I've stored. It's learned my voice over time, and my voice profile accumulates some history about me. So do I need a different voice profile for each unit? There are folks out there using Dragon Medical, and that's what they do, a different voice profile for each PC, but storing it on the network, it's free, it's easy. It's just a lot of people don't know about it. So we can help a practice do this so that wherever you are, Dragon works the same way, and it uses the same voice profile. So another key here is that the Power Mic, there are settings that actually need to be changed, and it's free, it's easy, it's simply a matter of knowledge. So when I look at my Power Mic, this button out of the box is hold to talk. So I have to continue to hold that button down for it to listen to me, and then I release for it to stop listening. So some providers prefer that, but by far and away, most providers prefer to press that once and it starts listening, and then press it again for it to stop listening. And the same is true of any of these buttons. They can be set. So a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. Dragon's a fantastic product, and a bit of training up front and a bit of help with settings, and you'll really help yourself with productivity. So those are some of the features with Dragon Medical. I'll mention there's a cloud version. I won't go through demonstrating this because it works pretty much identically. The cloud version, the difference is the way it's paid for. Somewhat like Microsoft Office 365 versus purchased copies, you'll pay a monthly fee for the cloud version. And the cloud version has not yet caught up with the boxed version in terms of features. So at this point, we don't recommend the cloud version, but particularly if you're in a large practice where you go lots and lots of places and you're always accessing through the cloud anyway, then the cloud version can have some benefits. So I'm going to move on now and talk about quickly, and we're almost done. I promise we'll be done before 8 o'clock. What are the keys to using Dragon successfully? And some of you who use Dragon now and you realize you use it imperfectly or incompletely, you'll relate to this. We have lots of clients where they purchased Dragon some time ago from somebody else, and it's still in the box, or they tried it and gave up after an hour, or what's the big deal? This works like the free version of my iPhone, and they just really haven't understood the power in this product. So a bit of training is really a solution. So what we find really works is one-on-one on-site training, standing behind a provider with a microphone where a trainer is working with you in your environment. So including training with your workflow. So if you're not using any EHR, how are you going to do this? You're going to dictate into Word, and then who's going to create the Word document? How are you going to get that into your chart? We can automate some things. And so that's what we find really works. And generally, a 1-hour training session is really helpful. We have learned we want to include at least one support staff. So we're training one provider at a time because it's one-on-one. But you want to have a clinical staff person with you so that you're not the only one who's heard the message. And so you come out of an exam room and you say, well, what did PBSI say about XYZ? You can ask a staff person and they can contact PBSI instead of you needing to be the person who's the only one who really knows Dragon. So one other thing we've learned is that one session always goes well. First training session, time after time, how did the training go? It went great. We did some live dictation. This doctor's going to do really well. Then we used to do just one training session, and we found with some frequency, we call in a couple of weeks, how's the doctor doing? Well, they've been frustrated, or they haven't been using it, or that just doesn't sound like the same thing that happened during training. And what we've learned is that human nature and accountability are powerful things. So what we now recommend is first training session, the trainer leaves and says, okay, you're going to make a commitment to me. You need to do this at least a half an hour a day or at least 3 patients a day until you've really built this into your workflow. And once you do that, then 2 weeks later, trainer comes back, then you'll have a really productive session. Okay, I've been doing this, and what did you say about this? Or fill the gap in here. And physician who spends 2 training sessions with Dragon, often running, used successfully long term. You don't want to be one of those who purchase this great product and then, I'm not really using it well. So a bit of advice about training. We're not trying to sell training time. We simply have learned what works. We want folks to really succeed with this product, and it's fantastic. So what does Dragon cost? So the 2 options that you have are the purchased version, so including a couple of training sessions and a power mic and some initial assistance. You're going to spend $2,800. The more providers in the office, the lower the cost per provider. With Dragon Medical One, the only thing you're paying for is training and setup. There's no upfront cost for training or microphone, but ongoing, the purchased version, there are no ongoing fees, and Dragon Medical One, you have a monthly fee, which can include a power mic mobile using your iPhone. And so economically speaking, no question, the purchased version is a much better deal, and it's generally what we recommend. So the way we look at the economics is, so you're going to spend $2,800, and you're going to buy an upgrade sometime in the next 3 years. You're going to spend $3,000, $3,300, something over 5 years. So that $3,300, you divide that by 60 months, you will have spent on average. It's like buying a PC. You don't use it, purchase it and consider a one-time expense. You're using it over a period of time. Well, considered that way, over 60 months, you're going to spend about $50 a month to use Dragon over 5 years. Very, very inexpensive compared to the efficiency gains, radically inexpensive. So economically, well worth it. Simply a matter of getting started and putting it into your workflow. So hopefully that helps to give you a sense of cost. And for those of you who've already purchased Dragon Medical and all you need is some training time, we're happy to help. We provide discounted purchased copies of Dragon Medical, and you can only buy Dragon Medical from an authorized reseller. You can't find it for a different price on the internet and so forth. We do discount Dragon Medical for clients who've attended webinars, so just know that. And so you have a sense for the cost. So we're finished with content, and I want to thank you for your attention. Hopefully this has been informative and helpful. That's our goal. And if you'd like follow-up, we're happy to do these kinds of demonstrations one-on-one. We can schedule a web connection just with you and your staff so that we can make this very specific and custom for your practice and use some of your templates. We do free quotations, so if you want follow-up, you will receive an email after attendance that will allow you to request follow-up or follow-up by phone or email anytime. And I know many of you use PBSI for other security and technology support products, and we thank you very much. So if you have interest in any of these other areas, feel free to let us know. So we're finished with content. I want to thank you for your attendance, and I hope this has been useful to you. Have a good